And of course, to further discuss the Nigeria's off-cycle election, particularly in the key states that are holding it at this time, talking about Kogi, Imo, and particularly Bayelsa State. Let's, of course, join Dr. Katch Ononuju, a political analyst, to, of course, shed more light on this. Thank you so much for your time, Katch.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now, what is your assessment of the just concluded off-cycle elections? I mean, we know that the result for Bayelsa, we are waiting that, but that of Imo and Kogi State, we know. And what do you think were the main factors that influenced the outcome of these particular elections?
Well, I think the main factors that drove these elections are the optics from what happened in Lagos State during the time of the February elections. And now that we've seen that the courts did not reprimand or go hard on those who did what they did, that's why you could see the near perfect repetition of the violence you saw in Lagos repeat itself in Imo, in Kogi, and thank God Bayelsa has not been as wild as Kogi and Imo. I will say that it's a national issue. Whatever happens in Lagos and we do not reprimand will of course be bested by the new people, as we've seen right now in Kogi and also in Imo State. So I will tell you, the democracy has for a very long time been seen by outsiders as no more what they will term a democracy. I hope you understand. For a very long time, if you check the chart published recently by The Economist, you will understand the world no more sees Nigeria as a democracy. And that, I believe, is very, very bad for our own records.
I mean, those are pretty very weighty, claims that you make there. I would like to ask, were there any notable trends or patterns that emerged during this particular series of elections? And if so, what did, they signify, particularly within the context you just mentioned right now?
The institutionalization of democracy. When you see the economists refer to Nigeria as a hybrid, it is because we tolerate that violence that undermines the democracy from being free and fair. You see, the active word in those qualifications is free and fair. When it is not free and fair and it is determined by violence, then you cannot blame those who see us from the international community as having ceased to be a democracy. And I think that's very, very not good for our country. It's very bad for Nigeria. It's not the best. I am not happy for this. But what can we do? It didn't just happen immediately. It started from 2019. We didn't do anything about it. It's sustained. It has kind of come to stay. And for me, I believe it's a cause for concern. Everybody has to now sit down and agree. You saw, even before the elections were begun, we were seeing in the wild a lot of result sheets. And we saw in most places election being characterized by violent snatching of the results. So that means Tinubu's words of grab it, snatch it, and run with it have become now a mainstay in our local arrangements.
We might not just want to link those words, particularly with in verbatim with this context that you've mentioned. However, let's also talk about certain cases. Now, there were cases of low voter turnout in some local government areas. One of the reasons highlighted is distrust in the electoral system. Are there any strategies that you feel can be implemented to address voter apathy, particularly during elections in Nigeria? And also, just a follow-up to that, we have also seen cases, or we've seen a pattern that seems to really stick right now, and that is people looking up to the judiciary, even after votes are cast, and the next thing you see is people going to court and hoping that the courts will upturn, or push things in their favor. Now, this brings to the question issues of conflicting interest, the votes of the people versus the verdict of the judiciary when it comes to elections. So what do you make of all of this drama?
We do not have any reason to blame the voters for voter apathy. If the courts cannot say that voter suppression is wrong, then voters may simply not want to come out and waste their periods, waste their time, waste their energy, because they know their votes will be suppressed, as we've seen in Kogi and in Imo State. So I do not think that we should blame the voters for not turning out. So voter apathy is an honest consequence of what we have seen. The introduction of violence, the sustained protocols that suppresses voter and their voters' actions and the votes,